What's up, good people? Welcome to Sunday service. I see Ike down in the chat. I just sent Ike the link. I'm having some slight problems with my editor because he's supposed to send me a thumbnail. And I didn't want to start it until I had the thumbnail ready. So we're trying to get that worked out and figured out. He's sending it, but I'm not receiving it. So we got to figure out what's going on. But the show must go on. The show must go on. So welcome everybody. I see a few people just came on in bright and early. Make sure you hit that like button on your way in. That lets people know that you are here. That alerts more people. And to my editor, who I just mentioned, for some reason I just sent you a text and it said it's still sending. So I don't know how you're sending the thumbnail, but however you're sending it, I'm not receiving it. So I don't know. Fast Attack Tough to the title says, love the title, adapt and move forward, men. But what is moving forward to you? That's going to be a question that might get answered because moving forward could mean different things. But Ike may have a message that doesn't exactly include moving forward. But we'll see how that goes. This is piggybacking on the last conversation that we had when we were talking about our men expecting too much from women. I highly recommend people check that one out. And it segued into something real interesting, where Ike did a very good breakdown of the modern day dating and mating game and how she doesn't need us to protect her from lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. And my audio may be all messed up. And y'all didn't tell me because I had that speaker on. Hopefully it just got better. But yes, she doesn't need us to protect her from lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. So she's different now. Nature has been flipped upside down on his head. So what do we do moving forward? We're going to be dealing with a lot of those questions today. I sent Ike the link. I'm awaiting Ike's arrival. And I'm awaiting a thumbnail from my editor. What's going on? If you're listening, no, I didn't receive it. And my phone can't even text you for some reason. He got Negro Wireless. My editor got Negro Wireless. There's 25 people in here. Hit the like button as you come on in. I still got the intro on deck. I might not even play this whole intro, but I am gonna give some time for the guests to show up, and about to go mute real quick so I can talk to my editor. So let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
All right. Welcome to the show, everybody. There were some slight issues that I spoke about before I played the intro, but either way it go, the show must go on. We must move forward. Shout out to Ike, who I sent the link, and I believe he received the link because I told him I just sent the link, and he just said thank you. So with that being said, shout out to the early bird squad, those that make it in bright and early before we even get things started here. Appreciate everybody who comes on in bright and early. This is a late game audio check for me. Got Aaron B in the building. Appreciate you. Fast Attack Tough says, love the title, adapt and move forward. I touched on that already in the pre-intro. Fireman 2531 in the building. And we got Fast Attack Tough says, good morning, Mr. Riley. Good morning to you, my brother. Good morning to you. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. The Capricorn Way says, what's up, Bernard? Snuggles says, lies, I tell you, lies. Bloody lies. I thought that said impregnator, just at a glance, like when my eyes just scanned it. I thought that said impregnator. That's where my mind goes. That's where my mind went. I thought it said impregnator. Yeah. Different. They got a lot more things to be afraid of than lions, tigers, and bears. Yes. My dear friend. That is true. However, lions, tigers, and bears are right in your face. You know a lion, tiger, and a bear when you see a lion, tiger, and a bear. You know exactly what you're into when a lion, tiger, or a bear shows up. Making decisions that are more suitable for the long-term success of your children's children, that's a different animal. When you have the long-term success of your children's children on the line, and you have short-term gratification on the line. Now, your children's children on down the line being failures, that's bad. That can be worse than lions, tigers, and bears. It can. It absolutely can. Forgive me for looking down. I was trying to figure something out. That maybe the links that I was expecting, maybe they were coming through like the spam folder or something like that. But no, I have not received the links. Now, Ike, I did send you the link. Ike. But as far as the having a conversation with my editor, because he got Negro Wireless and I can't talk to him on the phone, and I don't know if he's receiving my emails. So here's me hoping that he's listening, so he could know that I don't got the thumbnail. Because he texted me and said he sent it, but I can't text him back. Weird stuff going on this morning. But we will get it all figured out. Ike just showed up in the back chat. So we're just going to get the party rolling. We'll get a thumbnail when we get a thumbnail. You guys, the people that are here don't care about that, because if you did, you wouldn't be here. So I'm not going to worry about that. We got people here. But I want more people here. And I'm mad because I don't got the thumbnail and everything looking nice and cute. But Mr. Wright in the building with the super chat, appreciate that. Shout out to you. Shout out to Darth Low IQ. Even though we got Ike on today, we're going to be having some high IQ discussions with Ike, but Darth Low IQ is welcome. Craig the Tech Guy, Death Racer. See y'all all in the building. Vake King, Daryl L. See y'all all in the building. Appreciate everybody for coming on through. And without further ado, gonna pass it to the man of the hour. And yes, and if all goes well, this will be a reoccurring series that we're going to do here. Will be a reoccurring series if all goes well. So shout out to Ike in the building. What is going on?
What's up? What's up? What's up, Bernard? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. For some reason, your screen was freezing. It probably is just doing it temporarily, but your audio was great. But you are freezing. You're moving around in segments, it seems. So I can't explain that one. But no, you definitely sound good. Syph Bud is in the building. Says good morning, famo. Shout out, salute to you. Good morning. Good morning to everybody who's in the building. Now there you go. You move well, yeah, still kind of choppy, moving a little better. You got on some nice get up there, man. What's that's that's just
oh, it's just some more Wakanda gear, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You know? I didn't want to say it, but since you went there, yeah, man, you look Wakanda ready, man. You look Wakanda ready.
Yep. When in Rome, as they say, or when in Wakanda, right?
When in Wakanda. That's funny. You had a you're coming off of I guess the only way I could describe it is a very eventful weekend. Tell us about this eventful weekend before we get into the swing of things here.
Well, it was an eventful week in general, but I'm still here and I was still doing other things. So this is a sign out there, okay, to people out there. Never stop doing stuff. Never take a rest, okay? Never be like, oh, it's the Sabbath day. No, God created a whole universe, okay, before he rested. What the hell are you doing that you're like, oh, I'm going to rest? It's like, don't stop, never rest, always keep going, always keep pressing. Your rest time will come later on. You cannot afford to rest right now. Now, I'm going to say that on Wednesday, we did the knocking ceremony where the family goes to the other family. They exchange envelopes and fists full of cash, to the bride prize, if you will. There's a talking and ceremonial speeches and so on and so forth. I don't do much talking. My parents are also around, so meeting their parents, grandma, blah, blah, blah. And they talk things like, well, we came and we found a flower in your garden. That kind of shit.
What's up with the we came and found a flower in your garden talk? That was a metaphor for...
Yeah. You get it.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying...
What I mean is, ceremonial type talk.
Yeah, it sounds like... I mean, I'm envisioning them... everybody gathered around. A different person grabs the mic and says something. And it sounds very movie dialogue, cliche, corny. Like when you're talking about ceremonial talk. We found the flower in the garden, and like everybody just giving a speech on top of a speech on top of a speech. Is that kind of what goes on?
Oh no. It's not too many people talking. It's mainly the representative of this family and the other family, right? But the corny part, the cheesy part, is only that one sentence that I mentioned. But the main thing is, but it's still ceremonial because there's going to be exchange of stuff, right? Well, was all the stuff that was requested, is it there? Let's check, blah, 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 right? That's called the knocking. That's kind of like an introduction of the families, that type deal, right? Formal introduction, that is. And then on Thursday, there was the traditional wedding, right? And in that, there's more fistful of cash being passed, being handed over, and more items, the jewelry and this for the mom and that for that, and 17 yards of cloth for this person and all that kind of stuff, right? As you guys like to talk about, the cows and the sheep, right? all that happens too, and is that tricking, Bernard? Let me ask you. Let's since we're having fun, right? So have I been out here tricking? Not that I'm a stranger to the. Anyways, I have no beef with whatever you guys may call tricking, but is this tricking out here passing out fistful of cash in Wakanda?
I think some would say yes. I think some would definitely say it was a lot of tricking going on right there. To where
hella tricking, and it goes to perhaps the conversation we're going to be having today. And I emphasize also conversation, right? Because you said, "Hey, the man of the hour," but no, I'm not here to bloviate and pontificate at you guys. We're going to talk. It's like we talked last time, right? But it goes to the point, which is this is tricking 100%, but it is expected. It is normal. It is part of the contract. You know what I mean? Like this is the alternative to, hey, everyone is free and everyone just does what they want and love, and you get what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. So that is what you have on the other side, if you will, where it's like, oh, let's just be free, and then you have an 80%, they leave or whatever, that kind of a thing. But otherwise, you need some kind of an arrangement. It may be a religious arrangement or a traditional arrangement like this, but you need social structures, institutions, and so on and so forth that actually have a structure, like a business contract, if you will. Would you call it tricking? No, it's a fair exchange, that kind of a thing. But I'm not even here to kind of even defend or say that. It was just more fun. Yes, I'm just making fun saying that came out here to Wakanda, hella tricking going on, hella cows being exchanged and whatever. So Thursday was that event, and I posted a picture of me in another Wakanda suit. And again, for those who did not initially see this one, it's another piece of gear. I'm starting to like this. I mean, but then on Saturday, there were many ceremonies. In other words, the last ones were on Saturday. So that's what I've been doing. That's a long roundabout answer to your question, sir.
Yeah, well, just so you know, Ike, there are guys who could get the pussy without exchanging cows, oxes, asses, and all livestock and all the.
Well, I don't give a fuck about what the hell they're talking about, because we know what I'm talking about, and I don't have time to intercept stupid conversations.
Right on.
No one has problems getting pee.
That's where I'm at with the whole thing. Yeah, no, I don't think it's on the people who legitimately have problems doing that. They have their channels. You can hear them speak on their channels, and you could hear them breathing out of their mouth while they're talking. and it's like, yeah, they need some help on a lot of levels. And some of it isn't just social, just overall, just getting their life together. Some of them. But it's so it's so much going on there. But yeah, so the conversation that we were having is well, it started off from us having a conversation about our men. Well, hold on real quick. We dive back into Wakanda real quick. He says, Ike, what's a reasonable bride price? Approx total cost. My brother, he's asking for a friend, I guess. I don't know. But go ahead. I guess you can answer that if that's an answerable question.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the culture, right? If you're going to Nigeria, then you expect things to get a little crazy. If you're going to, let's say Ethiopia, it's a little bit more traditional, where it's like, okay, there's this kind of this. It's more ceremonial. This cloth, this thing, that thing, so on and so forth. In Ghana, it's a little bit more in between, which is where I'm at. Then there are aspects of the bride price that have to do with items. Now, it depends on how expensive you want to make those items. There's some items like this, the cloth. It is expensive cloth, but they say this piece of jewelry, that piece of jewelry. You can go Kmart jewelry if you want, right? And just be kind of symbolic about it. Or you could go high end because that's kind of how you like to roll. But then there's the cash part, which is just, then it depends on the family, right? Because part of it is some kind of a shit test too. Like it's not a shit test where you're expected to rebuff it, but they're testing you, and also they've assessed your capabilities before they say stuff. But overall, $5,000 average, right? Then you can go from there.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I got to send you something, Ike. That I told my editor to take some creative liberties with the thumbnail.
What is it?
Well, I told him use a previous picture of you that he used the last time. Use a picture, and I told him include a picture of me in it. It's like So it's like you right here, me right here, and then something like I told him to take some creative liberties and like add like break it up like how he did in the last thumbnail he used with you, how it was a man and a woman, they were kind of faded out and it was like a split in between them, like they were separated, showing division. I was like, do something like that to sort of, exemplify, or the conversation that we're going to be having about how we're living in different times. Women have changed and they probably will never go back and be the same. So what should men do going forward? So I said in between us, so just fade it out, show a picture of a woman that sort of symbolizes that. And it's a picture of I don't know if that's Cardi B with her tongue out. I don't know what's going on. So I'm gonna send that to you, see if you approve that message. I don't know. I don't know if you want your face and name on this one. I'm gonna have to let you approve that one. It's funny though, but I don't know. I don't know about that one. We shall see. But it's funny working with an editor, somebody who you could just come up with something, create an idea in your head, and then they go do it because they got all the Photoshop skills that you never took the time to learn yourself, or don't got the capacity to learn, or whatever your reason or excuse is. But it's definitely fun being able to have somebody that could take all the thoughts in my head and make them visual. But anyway, but I'll let you. Yeah, I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you can get jiggy with that thumbnail. It's I don't know. It's a little.
I'll check it out. You'll be surprised.
So
send it as soon as you can. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, but real quick before we get into it, Torrell Boxley in the building. He says, Ike, that suit is smooth as F. I actually love those wedding suits. What are the names of those types of suits? Go ahead.
Well, a kaftan is the general name by which you can kind of categorize these things. Okay, you've heard of dashikis, right?
Of course.
So, yeah, dashiki is a Yoruba, from the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria, and it's a particular kind of thing, right? Kaftans are another category, if you will, right? And a little bit more on the, well, let's not get into, it's like Hausa Fulani type, West African kind of garb, if you will. And if you say that, people, so it's a Kaftan, right? You can Google that and kind of check out the designs. It's just basically a top and a bottom made of the same material, kind of a long, almost Arabic looking, but with pants as opposed to without. And there was another one that I wore, and I'll probably put out that video as a photo of that as well. That's what my traditional Edo kind of regal royal stuff, and that one is a skirt. And I'm gonna put that one out because I know it's gonna trigger some people out there, and I'm gonna put like a crazy caption on it, just says, yeah, I'm rocking the skirt. Now what?
Don't do that, man. You know this space. Like I gotta be careful.
Oh, no,
I gotta be careful in here when those conversations happen. Make sure I don't get clipped. Make sure there's not an ongoing series on somebody's channel about how I'm closeted LG. like no. You gotta be careful around here. But thanks for the super chat, Torrell Boxley. What do you think? Oh, before we get to the main conversation, what do you think about what he said right here? Never pay a dowry for an opened package. I just like how he put that.
That is a fair statement. It's you negotiate. Let me just put it that way. In negotiation, everyone has a fair position, and that's a fair position to be in. There's a spectrum of positions, right? And this is a fair position, right? He's making a hard bargain, right? This is what this is what I want, right? Nothing wrong with that.
Right on. Okay. All right. So just to give a backstory on the previous conversation that me and Ike was having. It was great conversation. It was talking about are men expecting too much from women. Ike talked about how a fish is a fish. You expect a fish to swim. You don't get mad at a dog for not swimming like a fish. You don't get mad at a fish for not barking like a dog. I think that if I had to sum up what he was saying in two sentences, that's more or less what I would say the general message was. There were so many things happening in between. Somewhere along the way, towards the end of the conversation, we started talking about how times have changed, and I've done content on this. How times have changed, and yes, it's true. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. How the society that men have built is, if all men disappeared, yes, women would have a really hard time keeping everything going, running, and functioning the way that it is. So, in that sense, women do need men. But seeing as the society is already here and is built, and they're able to make their own little money in an air-conditioned cubicle and make, in some cases, just as much money as you in that air-conditioned cubicle, times have changed. There's a whole different dynamic. They don't need you to protect them from lions and tigers and bears anymore. That's not. They don't need you for that. And so, because of that, nature has kind of been flipped upside down, and women are they're different now. And a man is left in a position where he could, wax poetic about what it used to be, a time that he never actually lived in himself, by the way. But he could wax poetic about that and want to get that back. But at the same time, it's not coming back. There's nothing that he could do to get it back. So if you're the man, you're the stoic man who has to conquer the world in front of you, what does that man do going forward? And I said that everything that you just explained right there is the reason why game came to be. Not just game that men are talking about, but what kind of games are the women playing now? Because it's a whole different game. I'm using that word again. It's a whole different game that calls for different games to be played within the overall game. And so women are playing a completely different game, and a lot of the men have figured out how to play a completely different game. She doesn't need me to protect her from saber-toothed tigers anymore. And so it's turned into a situation, and that's why a lot of the stuff that we talk about in this space, that granted, some people talk about it from the perspective of they're just complaining because they're not at the top of the new hierarchy, where it's not about how productive you are and what you can offer that woman's a part of the new hierarchy, depending on the class, depending on the area, depending on that individual woman and how she was raised, depending on a number of factors. Yes, height, looks, swag, charisma, how all kind of external extra stuff is the currency, and not just, hey, I am a stable, able-bodied working man coming to you. No, I'm not rich, but I have a job. I can put a roof over a head. I can, with running water, electricity, and food on the table. In exchange for that, you come into my house and we live a life and we have sex and make some babies, and you be decent with me. I'll be decent with you for the most part, give or take. And we just build a life and make it work. And that was like that. That was life. That was called life at one point. Now the whole game has changed, and men have to move different. And some men have moved in a way to where now it's about the game and all of that, and you said game was BS. And but when I was just looking at just the lay of the land, I understand why the concept of it exists. I understand why it exists. I understand all of that. But so if you're saying things are changing, it will never be back how it was. And the thing that has replaced the old system is just game by men and women. And you say that that's a bunch of BS. So what is the way, or what makes sense? Well, before you get into that, what makes sense and what men should do and how men should operate going forward, I want you to get into why is game BS. Go ahead.
The main thing here, and you already alluded to this point in talking about it, is that the word has so many connotations, right? So when I say game is BS, you know the kind of game that I was talking about. So let's try to explain that. The game that I was talking about is when you stop being a man, right? Get away from the things that make you a man in the male hierarchy and go into swag or doing the dancing, chaotic game that she likes you to do, with the mouthpiece, right? Men don't talk like that. You know what I mean? Men don't do that stupid give and take type of whatever, and that game, if you will, right? It does not gain you respect from other men. You will not succeed in a foxhole, in a hunting party, in a business deal. You will not build corporations with swag and looks and that kind of talk. Okay, people are not stupid, right? It's the only you're not gonna mouthpiece your way into a CEO position, right? There's got to be some substance behind it. Right, there's got to be some actual substance behind it. So I'm talking about this particular strata of that word. Now, if you remember when Alan Roger Curry was on your show, I came in to agree with him because I don't think Alan Roger Curry is doing that. Mode 1 is not game. Let me say that again.
Even
Mode 1 is saying what you want. Mode 1 is so simple. You get what I'm saying? It's like game in Alan Roger Curry parlance, and if I'm misquoting him, sorry, Alan, it'll be more of the mode 2, mode 3, or somewhere in between kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It'll be the kind of indirect or some nonsense that you're trying to do. Mode 1 is not game. That's why I came in and I said, look, in sales, simplicity is key. I'm loving it for McDonald's. Want to get away for sales and marketing, right? Because you want something that's repeatable, make America great again, whatever it may be, repeatable into their head, right? So simplicity is key for any kind of persuasion, and directness is a lot more simple than indirectness. Hence, right, mode 1 in terms of any kind of communication is my style, is the style of the great experts out there in terms of like sales influences and so on and so forth. So all this to say that there is a particular connotation of the word game that I am calling bullshit, and that's the one where you become a little bitch, right? It's about the P now. It's the guy that, for example, said, or the person that may suggest, oh, you can get P without. Who the hell's talking about P? It's like, get out of here, man. You think all that exchange of stuff and that conversation was about P? No, it was about a certain kind of order that would be expected. We were getting into a certain kind of contract, right, with certain rules, right, where there's expectations on other people, on each party getting into this contract, and where there are institutions and families behind to hold everyone accountable, right? The reason why you're getting into that is not for P, okay? It's for the continuation of your legacy. It's for getting someone into your marketing department, which is a woman, right? She does the whole experiential, social, branding, imaging aspect of your life. Men, that's not what we do. We're out there killing the cow, right? Mm-hmm. And also, you're uniting these two families for reasons which are also in line with the pragmatic, practical, business-wise type things. Who the heck, when people talk, P, it's like, it's ridiculous. But it's not so ridiculous because this is the environment that you're in, right? You're in an environment where it's now just free, therefore it's now about P. And it's like, no one has a problem getting P. And all this stuff that we just mentioned is not about P, right? So that's what, when I said game was BS, I was talking about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm glad what you said right there. And I've had this exact conversation with somebody who came on the show where we were breaking things down more along the lines, maybe not as quite as eloquently as you just did, but we were breaking things down along the lines of what you were saying and giving an overall social commentary on the way that things are, or more or less being social critics about the way that things are. And somebody will come into the conversation late and be like, well, no, man, if you could just get the pussy wet, then I'm like, it's like, no, that is like you misjudged the tenor of the conversation. It's like, so some people can,
but it's fine. I think it's a quick little premise that can just be restated, even though people tend not to believe it, because people cannot get into their heads that, let me just use myself for example. Look, I don't have a problem getting P, right? Mm-hmm. No, okay. You want to put kind of parameters and kind of percentiles. I'm 6'4". I got broad shoulders, this, that, and the other. But yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna say myself, I look good. I got a mouthpiece too. I can talk. I got that mastery of subjective consciousness thing going on. I don't have a problem getting P, but people cannot get outside their head that besides P, there's something going on with the female aspect of the race that a man actually needs, and that there needs to be institutions social, and what have you, that regulate that whole particular contract and relationship. It's, and then they're living in a situation where there's pure chaos regarding that social contract, right? But they're still thinking it's all about P. It's like people cannot get it into their heads that, look, but I think it's a simple premise to just state, like, we don't have a problem with P. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, let me just get right into it. We're talking about, think about the criminal justice system that regulates generally speaking, let's talk about violence. Let's talk about chaos in terms of male violence. The criminal justice system regulates that, okay? We'll lock you up, we'll throw away the key, we'll shackle, we'll do this, the police is out there, therefore we're regulating this chaos, okay? There's a female chaos also. It's social, it's psychological, it's emotional. How do you regulate that? We're talking about the asylum, which no longer exists. We're talking about the criminal justice system, which no longer exists. That criminal justice system, the analog, the female chaos, right, criminal justice system, are these institutions, social, so on and so forth, with the families going into them, with that decide that we're going to hold each other accountable, or the woman accountable, so on and so forth, where, okay, I'm going to pass from the father to this other family, this particular woman, blah, 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 ad infinitum, that everyone has heard before in the manosphere. This is it. So we're saying, hey, we need a criminal justice system on this side of things, in the female chaos side of things, because it's breaking down so far out here in the West for reasons which are obvious and clear, right? And we're not trying to blame anybody. That's not the game here. We're like, oh, I'll talk about this and complain. It's not about complaining or blaming. It's just saying there is this criminal justice system which no longer exists on the female side of the chaos ledger. The male side of the chaos ledger, yes, we still have cops and so on and so forth. Who's regulating psychological, emotional, and social chaos? Right? That's what those institutions were there for.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Utopia, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Says, well, I guess I have to set aside a budget for the Bernard and Ike series. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Appreciate you too. I like when ladies come on in and listen and act like they got some sense. I appreciate it. But yeah, like a few things he said that I like. The game, as they talk about game. Yeah, when it's I like how you said, if you're just talking about getting a P, and I guess we're gonna try to do this without cursing. Might as well try to. If you talk about getting a P, then yes, okay, then go ahead and use your game if that's how you get the P. Whatever, go ahead and do that. But you talked about in the real world, actual tangibles have to be produced. Now, if you do have some game about yourself and some tangibles, but you often have, but you also have, I should say, also have the ability to do things, just much like how you talk about various sales strategies and various ways to communicate and all of that. Some people will say, aha, see, look, that's the game right there. He's using game, but there's also tangibles as well. And that was
100%. And that's why, and I think perhaps, I'm sorry, but I think perhaps I should repeat what I said about the connotation of the word. And it's a big basket, and there's a particular little leaf of paper that I'm taking off that basket and saying, this particular one is bullshit.
Yes.
But the rest of the basket, which has to do with how you carry yourself, how you actually feel from the inside out, that confidence that I came to Alan Roger Curry and talked about, right? Mm-hmm. And I said that you are direct, but you're not thirsty, right? All that stuff. And I elaborate upon this deeply in my channel. That is all game. But why be an idiot? And I'm not talking about anybody in particular right now. Why be an idiot and not be precise? Why call it game? No, I'm going to talk about, well, when it comes to master your subjective consciousness, mastering the feeling in your body, the image in your head, and the talk in your head, so that you can be comfortable in any situation and also make other people comfortable so that you can persuade them. Why should I call it game? That's like, what am I, a chimpanzee? It's like, no, I have other words. I can be more precise and subtle with the things, right? It's left the idiots that, we want to just throw things into, it's like, no, yes, you can call it that too. Just like you could say, oh, well, yeah, you could just talk about the whole earth, right? But there are different subconcepts. Again, words are borders around concepts. And when you have too big of a border, such as game, then it is open for all kinds of confusion. Because when this particular basket that I said, which is game, there's this border around a concept, right, has 10,000 leaves of paper, people are going to get confused all the time. So I'm going to take this one leaf of paper and say that thing that you do where you become a little bitch, and it is not about productivity or actual doing anything. It's about P, and it's about swag and stuff like that. Who gives a crap about that? Okay. But all these other things, master subjective consciousness, being a good salesperson, being a good presenter, having actual confidence, so on and so forth, all those things are relevant, but all those things can be spoken about precisely and more subtly without just using a big basket calling it game.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Good stuff. Indigenous TV in the building with the super chat, and check your email. By the way, I did send you that thumbnail for you to review. Indigenous TV in the middle with the super chat. He says that boy Ike is clean with the cocaine white outfit. He about to step out smooth on these females. No, not really. Just got married. He still might be stepping out smooth on the females. You don't know what kind of arrangement they got going on. But no comment. So moving forward. So for lack of a better word right now, I won't even say use the word game. The social landscape has changed. It's changed economically. It's changed socially. Everything is different now. Now the modern woman is different. Like I said before, going back, new people in here, make sure y'all hit the like button. I don't even know if I've hit the like button, so let me lead by example. So for the new people in here, we were talking about in the previous conversation how women are no longer in danger of being attacked by lions and tigers and bears. She does not need that man for her own personal survival and safety. She's able to make her own money sitting in an air-conditioned cubicle. She's able to make her own money and function and be just fine. She don't need you to protect her like that anymore. She's okay. So they're different now because of that. And because of that, I explained earlier in the last show, and that's why game, swag, charisma, height, and all of that became part of the game. And Ike broke down why an element of that is BS, and they need to use different words to describe the other stuff. So we just did a good job breaking that down. But now we're moving forward to that whole game element of it is BS, and it's just about getting the P. And most people don't have problems doing that. The guys that do have problems doing that, they're normally easily identifiable, and yeah, they need to do what they need to do to get their problems met, and that's a separate issue. You know, when I listen to Zero, I'm not listening to somebody talk about why he can't get sex. I'm listening to somebody break down society, give a social commentary on society. I'm not hearing somebody who's lamenting about why he can't get Keisha in his bed. That's not what's going on there. So moving forward, understanding that the whole social dynamic, the social contract, the economics of it all, everything has changed. How should men operate going forward in light of that, in light of understanding that women are not going back to 1950 or hunter-gatherer and needing to be protected from wolves? So knowing 100%. That, what should men do going forward?
Good. So I think I like the analogy that I presented. There's an analogy with the criminal justice system, but the other side is not an analogy at all. There is an equivalent criminal justice system, regulatory system, if you will, on the female chaos. And in case anyone starts saying, "Oh, what are you talking about females?" Like, look, I talked about male chaos, right? Right? It's violence. We get it. We know it. We control it. If you think that women do the same things that men do, well, you need to get some brain surgery or something. Okay, there's a different kind of chaos that they bring. Wouldn't you agree, Bernard?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, everybody knows this. The caveman knew this, right? And us right now, we don't even need to think about it. We know it, okay? Prisons are filled, in terms of death row and so on and so forth, with guys. The most violent people in the world are mainly all men, going outside now to the extreme of the bell curve where things matter in this particular case, right? So how about how you control the female chaos? Because if you think, it's just sugar, spice.
Say that last part again. I had some background noise. I couldn't hear nothing you said. Just go back 2 sentences, or maybe even one.
I was saying that basically the jails are filled, or prisons, death row, for example, are filled with men. The most violent people in the world are men, and the extreme end of the bell curve is what matters, and that's what we're talking about right now, right? So then you have female chaos, right? If you think that female is all sugar, spice, and everything nice, you also need brain surgery. That's just stupid. It's a non-starter. I don't even understand what you mean, right? So number one, there's a different kind of chaos on both sides. It needs to be understood quite clearly. Okay, there is chaos on the female side, sure. There is a different kind of chaos on the female side. Exactly. It's an emotional, social, psychological kind of chaos. Okay. It's not we will come and burn you and cut your head off kind of chaos. Okay. It's fuckery kind of chaos, right? It's I'm going to shift the goalpost kind of chaos. It's I want this, but I want that, but then I want the other thing, and then but whatever the good man like kind of chaos, right? You get what I'm saying. It is that chaos, and we know, they know. Again, these 3 premises which you just said, there's chaos on both sides. Unless you're just an absolute idiot or you're being disingenuous, you need to admit to that. The chaos on both sides is also different. Unless you're just crazy, you have your eyes closed, you also will admit to that. There's data out there. Just use prison as an example, right? And we know that men are and women are different in their kind of chaos type stuff. So we have still the criminal justice system, cops and so on and so forth, that makes it such that when you go to the grocery store, Bernard, you don't have to worry about some guy, stepping too far out of line in that particular regard. However, there were also systems that kept women in line, right? These tend to be in the social sphere. You cannot get a chain and wrap it around fuckery the same way you can do it with men, right? Men's violence is physical. Emotional violence, social chaos, and so on and so forth, which is a woman's forte, is hard to see and trap, right? So you have social institutions, right, that say, okay, institution of marriage, for example, certain religious tenets, for example, or, maybe you're a Hebrew Israelite and you have the ways in which, or the Arabs and so on and so forth. In other words, the men are regulated, right, with the sword, if you will. The women are regulated through social pressures, shaming, so on and so forth, those kinds of things. And you have these systems, and they both exist to keep each sex in line. Nothing I've said so far is controversial. If you think it's controversial, you need to check yourself. If you have a little bit of that's fine. It's because you typically perhaps don't hear these kinds of things regularly. But I haven't said anything kind of crazy. Right? I haven't done any calculus or whatever. I just said what should be obvious to everybody. Now, the point I'm getting at here is this is the way in which the landscape has changed. And the number one thing that men have to do is accept this thing, in the sense that if, for example, tomorrow we're told that somewhere in the East Coast where you live, there's no more cops, no more sheriffs, right? Each man now has been deputized to take care of his own security. In other words, take care of the male chaos, right? There's certain things that, well, first of all, you need to accept that fact. I'm saying that you need to accept that that's what's going on the other side, that there is no cop and there is no asylum. The warden of the asylum is gone. The police, they're all gone on the female side. You need to understand that that's what's going on. You need to accept it. And if you try, you have to understand. We have to speak with generality sometimes. The exact contours of the female chaos and how it's controlled. Of course, yeah, you can go think through that. But generally speaking, that warden is gone. The sheriff no longer has much power over there. So you, Bernard, if I were to tell you that on the male side, the male chaos is now unleashed, you're immediately going to change behavior, right? You're immediately now going to be more vigilant. You're going to be you're going to learn how to use those weapons. You're also going to definitely learn not to trust everyone. Let's say now 1 out of 10 people you can deal with. So the first thing is acceptance, and then regulating who you deal with now. Understanding that, look, the cop is not there to keep these people in line. These people will never put themselves in line. So if we're talking, again, East Coast, no cops anymore. The people out there pillaging and marauding will not voluntarily try to get you to bring the cops back in, will they? Right?
Right.
So
right.
why would they? And the people who try to judge and shame for that, you're crazy. Would you be like, if the male chaos was unleashed out there in the East Coast, and like, these men, they're out there just marauding, why don't they come with us to try to bring the cops back, to put them back in jail? You're like, they're like, no, you're crazy. And people were like, oh, well, these people are just bad people. It's like, if you look at the Congo, for example, or many war-torn countries.
Hold on, wait, real quick,
sorry,
before you get into the Congo and the war-torn countries. So you're basically saying that a very high percentage of women are emotional, psychological criminals, so to speak.
I'm saying that's the kind of crime that they can do.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but,
and that whenever you let the chains off, that's why I went to the war-torn countries. Regular people, your neighbors, like when you see 70% all of a sudden people are dying all over. It's not, these people didn't ascend out of hell. It's your neighbors that were there before, right?
Yeah.
Once the chains come off, all of a sudden they're killing and raping everybody. Same thing. You take the chains off of the kinds of violence that women can do, which is emotional, social, psychological. They'll just do it. We're human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
So it's like, because there's an element of wanting to judge people, like, oh, they must be. It's like, look, anywhere, put it on the sector of men, the male chaos. When you remove the criminal justice system out of there and it's no order anymore, all of a sudden your neighbor becomes a monster. So is the case on the other side. So all this kind of judgment, and again, that's what's a continuation of the last conversation we had, which was like, don't be getting mad at the fish. The same way, don't be getting mad at human beings when the constraints have been removed from them, from just doing the animalistic thing, which we all do and which we see over and over and over again. Okay, so when you say that most women are social, emotional criminals, I'm saying that they have the tendency to be, just like most men will. You have no idea what I may be capable of if, all the shackles were to leave tomorrow. Because again, those people who do those horrible things in these societies they didn't come out of hell all of a sudden. They were the same people that were there and behaved themselves while there was still order. But now there's war, and all of a sudden people are dying, people are getting raped all over the place by the same people, right? So acceptance is key. And with acceptance, you need to understand that you cannot therefore trust, okay, about 90%, right? That's why you use the 90% thing, right? Because the shackles are off, right? So just like you would be vigilant, right? In the East Coast out there, no more sheriff. Number one, you're going to be vigilant. You're going to learn about security, about, locking yourself, about using your weapon, and also then whom not to trust. The weapon side we'll get to. The weapon side has to do with that stoicism and being able to say no, which is a huge weapon that you have as a man in this kind of in fighting the emotional, psychological, and chaos, if you will, social chaos.
Okay, so now this is where it gets tricky, and this is a flashpoint on this show. So if we've concluded that these emotional, social, and psychological criminals, these inmates are now running the asylum, so to speak. If we can agree with that, would you then not say that a man's a lot of things in this space where men are, with all of its flaws and stereotypes of it, when men go MGTOW, men, some men go SYSBM, could mean that, yeah, these particular women of a particular hue, I'm going to apply Ike's logic there, but I'm going to suspend it with the women in the same environment in the same country with just a different hue. But either way, but rather
could be the same hue. You can come to Wakanda and do the same kind of tricking I've been doing. But anyway, I'm just kidding.
So it's almost like, and keep in mind, we're talking to a married man, a recently married man, who, if we accept your premises, the man is justified in saying, or taking the Ramil route. Everything you just explained is why, ultimately, why he would say yes. That's why I just pump and dump. So
Yes.
so it's almost like you've either deliberately or not, you made a case for pump and dump them, MGTOW, SYSBM. If that means traveling to some other country or whatever, you've made a case for all of that, essentially.
Male choice, right? Okay. We're in the East Coast again, right? Okay. Ramil is your neighbor in the East Coast, no cops.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Go ahead. Hold your thought. I know you're one of the few that's good at holding your thought. You hold my thought for me when I forget what I was about to say. Michael Ross in the building with the super chat. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Snuggles in the building with the super chat. He says, I came to the foot of the mountain to listen to the words coming from up high, wondering if there is turbulence ahead with what I am witnessing. Thank you for the super chat, Snuggles. Appreciate you. I think that was it. I don't think I missed nobody else's super chat. Appreciate everybody who supports the show. Appreciate. Let's see. Yep. No, that was it on the super chat. And appreciate. Appreciate everybody. We got 226.
Any other interesting comments down there besides the super chats?
I was scanning. If you see an interesting comment at any time, feel free to.
I just have like one screen, one laptop, so it's like it's a little hard for me, but I'll try.
Yeah. If you see something interesting, call it out and we could talk about it. Shout out to Information Man in the building. He says this is basic human behavior. People adapt to their situation. People adapt to their environment and behave accordingly to the environment that they exist in. This is basic psychology, my profession. Shout out to the Information Man. Appreciate you appreciate you coming on through. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Got 222 people in the building, 120 on the likes, and we got one hater that gave you a thumbs down. He don't like you, Ike. He don't like
Excellent.
You. But yeah, y'all be looking out for this. I'm telling me and Ike, as far as I know, it might be every weekend. I don't know if it'll be regular on Saturday or Sunday, but if all goes well, hopefully me and Ike will be doing a reoccurring series. As of right now, it's on the weekend. I don't know if that works for you, if it'll move to the week, but
yeah, it works. It works for me.
Okay, good. So be looking out for me and Ike on the weekend. We don't got it bogged down completely, whether or not it'll be Saturday or Sunday. But just like look for me around 9 a.m. during the week. Be looking for me on the weekend as well. Be looking for this reoccurring series. Now, I forgot completely what you were about to say, but I'm sure you remember.
All good, because I got it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so basically, you're saying that I made a case for either pump and dump, SYSBIM, or MGTOW, and so on and so forth, right? Since we've said, hey, accept this landscape whereby there is no warden in the asylum anymore, there is no criminal justice system for female chaos. Right, that part I don't think is a controversial thing. It's just, it's simple, right? So, and we were talking about, and I was gonna say, hey, going back to because I think in the male one, because it's more clear, you can more see it. You can, you can kind of see that. Yeah,
we know a murderer, we know a bank robber, a mugger, somebody doing a breaking and entry. We see that right away. Yeah, the problematic woman could float below the radar. She could put on a mask and be a respectable, decent woman over here, and go be utter hell on wheels over here, and doing and so it's a bunch. It's chaos all over the place with women in the thing that they do that's bad to shorthanded. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying that in our East Coast no longer has cops type of scenario. Ramil is your neighbor, and Ramil says, I only deal with people through these iron bars. That's his pump and dump thing. It's like, in other words, the men are the problem, right? In this case, we can't trust 1 out of 10 men. It's violence out there in the streets. Okay, I'll transact with you, but you're not coming. We got to do business, right? We still got to eat. Eggs still got to be so on and so forth. And Ramil is like, I never let anyone in my house, right? I have iron bars, okay? MGTOW guy just goes off into the mountains, starts growing his own crop, right? He just completely leaves, right? He goes and hides in some cave in Pennsylvania somewhere, right?
Yeah, well, that's a MGTOW monk. I don't want them to bring out the pitchforks on you.
My bad. Yeah,
they gonna come out the woodwork. Hey, we get pussy too. Like, so anyway.
So the guy he completely dissociates the monk type, and then there's variations of MGTOW other than that. But some variations that even look like a Ramil with the bars, right?
Yeah,
Ramil
exactly.
could even be called some kind of a MGTOW, right? So the cis-bim guy is like, I heard of this place where there's still some semblance of the criminal justice system. And this is where, and we're giving actual solutions now, but we're giving it with the actual real description of the landscape, which is that there is no asylum anymore. There is no criminal justice system, or it has broken down very much in the West regarding female chaos. But the male chaos side of things, the violence, we understand that, and we see it. We see the system that's there in place to check it. The other side, we understand those systems that were there before, right? And we see that they're kind of hard to kind of hold on to. We're talking about institutions and agreements, and it tends to be social and religious and blah blah blah. But basically, the cis-bim guy, right, is someone that says, hey, over here you can only trust 1 out of 10 men. I know of this place over the hill, okay, I'm going to go to the Midwest out of the East Coast now, where you can trust 5 out of 10 men. And the people who argue against the cis-bim guys say, but it's not 10 out of 10 men. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
That's when they say, but feminism is also spread. I was like, dude, you can stay in Pennsylvania, okay, and take your chances over there of your head getting chopped off, or you could go to Ohio where you can trust 5 out of 10. I just increased your chances 5-fold. For you to complain that it's not perfect criminal justice, right, is crazy, okay? So, the point I made when you said I'm making a case for these things, I said that it's about choice, in other words. In other words, I'm endorsing male choice in Pennsylvania or in the East Coast where there is no more sheriff. And people now have to take their security into their own hands. I'm saying that is the case writ large over the West with regards to female chaos, that we don't have those systems anymore, the sheriffs and the wardens and so on and so forth, to keep that in check. And I'm saying that if you want to put the iron bars, right, which is, pump and dump, whatever, MGTOW, blah, 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 or you want to say, hey, I'm going to move over here. Let's give another example, because this is an evolutionary thing, okay, whereby if you run out of food in a particular area, right, you move. What a novel idea. You can't keep beating your fist on the ground and like, why isn't there antelopes coming? It's like,
animals can figure out to migrate to where there's green grass or more animals to eat. They can figure out to just start walking. That's what animals do when they're not finding food. Yeah, that's interesting.
So if you like red apples, let's say the red apples are let's say analogize red apples with the feminine cooperative woman who still is okay with her nature, her feminine side, and it's not just trying to just be a masculine person while denigrating men as the patriarchy, but saying she's a woman while hating femininity. If you're looking for a red apple, which is not that, let's say green apples are that other thing. Red apple is your feminine woman whom understands from a position of strength. Again, it's not someone who's beat down, which is some people tend to think is like, no. From a position of strength, right, knows that I'm a woman, right, and I kind of like being a woman, and I like femininity, and I know masculinity is over there. They do their thing, blah, blah, blah. If you're looking for red apples, okay, and now all of a sudden 1 out of 10 red apples are red in your area, okay, and I tell you, hey, over the valley, actually, there's 6 out of 10 apples or 5 out of 10 apples. You're not going to be, I'm not going there because it's not all 10. This is what people say when they're like, but it's spreading in the feminine. It's like, dude, I am saying that over there that you can still find more of the warden still has some foothold. The sheriff, there's still some cops out there. Are you going to stay stuck in the East Coast without the cops because you're like, it's not perfect? So choice, moving, and I'll make a point about this kind of a migration thing, which is key. The world has been global outside the United States for a very long time. What do I mean by that? I mean that people have always traveled. Let's say if you take around the Mediterranean there, Africa to, Southern Europe, blah, blah, blah. People have moved a lot. In other words, everywhere but America, people have moved a lot. America tends to move within the country because it's a big country. It's a continent.
Yeah.
America is insular. And this is not a blame game, by the way. And I have to keep on repeating that over and over again, where I'm saying, I'm not blaming the women for acting the way they should act without a warden. It's like, right? And I'm not going to blame America for being insular. But in 2021, there's no excuse for people to still be acting so provincial. Like, oh my God, I can't go out there. I don't know. I got to stay over here. It's almost like it's almost like Stockholm syndrome. I gotta stay over here. I don't know the reasons why. Well, I know the reasons why, but basically,
Wait, hold on. What's the reasons why? Let's get on that one. What's the reasons why?
I'm gonna give actual, real, objective reasons that are solid, which is that there is a cultural difference. There is a hoop to go over. There is a comfort over here where you think you understand the borders, language, culture, right? Mm-hmm. You're used to your little corner shop and so on and so forth. Now, I'm telling you to go over to that land over there where there's 5 out of 10 apples are red, okay? But the way they serve the apple over there is different, right? You like your mom's red apple pie, right? Even though it doesn't exist anymore, right? You got to go back to the 50s to your, the whole name of this show, right? Mm-hmm. Of this particular stream here. Even if there's no more apple pie here, you would still rather be nostalgic about apple pie rather than go over to that side of the valley where they serve the apple differently. You're not used to the way the apple is served there. You like red apples, it's red apples, you see it over there, but rather than go deal with getting used to a new kind of way of preparing the apple or eating the apple, you're more comfortable in this little cocoon of yours, right? And that is a legitimate reason. So it's not some kind of they just need to alpha their way out of it type stuff, Right. I would say that is the broad umbrella around all the other sub reasons that are there. It's just more comfort is the word. Comfort.
One thing I want to say, what do you think about this argument? I'm no fan of it, but I've heard someone, and I don't even know if this applies to you because you even though, if I understand it right, you've lived in the States for roughly the last 18 years or so.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're originally from a different culture. Now, someone has made the argument to American men or American black men, more specifically. This is one of the black female counter arguments to some of what you said. Let's just, if what you were saying was said by an born an American black man, the counter argument would be would apply, and it goes something along the lines of, you're going over to some other culture because, like how you explained, the sheriff still has a little control over there on policing the social, emotional, and psychological crimes that women are able to run, that women have the capacity to do. The sheriff still has a little authority over there. Therefore, different women are being produced. So when American black men are going over there to deal with those women over there, you guys are ultimately going to get with women that you didn't have the ability to cultivate. Like, you should be able to, in your own place, in your own homeland.
Raggle the Banshee.
Thank you for using my Avatar Pandora example to rebut that real fast. I like that. But yeah. Well, I guess that's the argument. Go ahead.
So, here's the thing. They're correct in a particular level. Mm-hmm. In other words, as a man that is capable of building, and here's one thing that we should mention here, because I think in the last stream you talked about it, that we're talking about middle class solutions, right?
Yeah, wait, hold on. Shout out to Clue real quick for that super chat. Appreciate the super chat, Clue. Appreciate everybody who came through on the super chat. And go ahead, Ike, you got it.
we say that, let's say if we go back to our East Coast, no cops, right? The guy that had all the gold before, right? He doesn't have to worry too much about, oh, now I need these iron bars, I need security, I need to learn how to use my gun. In other words, people, right, whom have these resources, top 10% of people, have a different set of solutions available to them, right? Mm-hmm. They'll generally just kind of live the same, like nothing changed. You know what I mean?
Wait,
hold on.
Wait, back up. Say that again. I'm sorry. I was reading and listening, and I missed something. I missed something important. Go ahead.
In the last stream, when we said, let's talk about this thing, we said, we're not worried about the top 5%, 1% guy that's making all this money and has all this power, because we just kind of intuitively know that he's not going to have the same kind of problems, right? Exactly. And then when we come to if we come to this side of the ledger where we're using this East Coast no more cops thing, right? We know that the billionaires are just gonna live like they got their bunkers, they got all the security, they're probably gonna be living even better now that there are no cops, right? They can actually even now make their own rules, right? So the same thing. I just wanted to restate that point, okay? Which is that we're talking about not those people whom they have a different set of things that we don't have to talk about what to do for them or what they're gonna do what they do. We're talking about this other set of people. Now, the reason I bring that up is because you mentioned that somebody might say, hey, why aren't you wrangling the banshees around your area? You're not responsible for that particular product over there. So why aren't you blah, blah, blah? Well, I would say, the first thing that I would say, okay, is if you really, really have, and that's why I say acceptance is the first thing, and then I'll say why they're correct. I think we know why they're correct, but we'll talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you really have absorbed and believe what I think is obvious, which is that it is indeed the case that female chaos is not well regulated anymore, and that I'm not making up something when I say female chaos. I'm not making up something, okay? I'm not making up something. There's chaos on both sides, and it's different kind of chaos. The male kind of chaos, which tends to be violence, is regulated by what we know it's regulated by. The female chaos, social, emotional, psychological, is also regulated by those other things, which we are saying has broken down, right? So if you really believe that, then it'll be like somebody telling you, hey, over here, there's no more cops over here, right? Well, why are you running over the hill to Ohio and taking advantage of the cops over there? Why don't you rebuild how would you, I always want to say, how would you feel? But I almost wanted to say that, but what do you think about that? In other words, if you have accepted this real thing, then you will just immediately like, okay. What you say is like, well, okay. And just pack up your bags and leave.
But it's even worse because in this scenario, it's the criminals saying just rebuild the police.
Exactly. It's the criminals saying, why don't you? It's like it's crazy. So that you want me to stay over here and fight you, so you can continue to strip me of the last of my shit before before we go through with it. So the point is this, right? You have to accept the reality of the situation that the criminal justice system, right, no longer exists in this particular regard. And someone telling you to kind of just move somewhere else or whatever kind of BS that don't do it because you're not the one that created it. If you had that kind of a feeling in you, in other words, if you've accepted and you know that you have the feeling, right, then you know that that's nonsense. But here's the reason why they're correct. They are correct in the sense that you should have some concern about your homeland, the East Coast, right?
Yes.
And perhaps how we can, in some way, reinstantiate some kind of order, right? So how do we reinstantiate some kind of order in this particular homeland, right, of ours? Then
that's legitimately what I care about. I do want some order in the homeland, but I'm not about putting a ball and chain on the foot of men in America and saying you must deal with this type of woman. You must. That's a no-go for me. I can't do that. That is a place I won't go. But I do want order in the homeland. I do want better outcomes for Black Americans. I do want to see, and yes, Bernard love the kids. I want to see better outcomes for Black children, and one way to obtain that is more better black families. However,
Yeah, so it's like,
however,
yeah,
in this current environment where the inmates are running the asylum is and the country is set up that way. The country is ultimately set up that way to where women have full creative control to do what they want to do, how they want to do it, when they want to do it, and if they engage in anything that even remotely results some structure, it's completely 100% by choice. It's a choice that they have to individually make. And when that's the situation, I can't I can't hold men responsible for not controlling a collective of women who are free adults in a free country to have life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, to do what they want, when they want, how they want it, with who they want to do it with, and their outcomes are their outcomes and their social safety nets to protect them from their bad outcomes. But if they can make enough money in that air-conditioned cubicle to be able to keep a roof over their head and feed their children by a bunch of reckless men who are being just as reckless as them, then what am I? I can't do nothing about that. Only thing I can do control is my house. That's it. It just turns into like what you said about when you made that Ramil analogy. He has bars up around his house. He understands he has to do a trade and business and commerce. Yes, we're gonna trade products through these bars. I'm gonna hand you this through these bars, and you hand me money in exchange, and then done. And so, and that's the situation we're turning into, and that leads right to the hood servant. What he says, like we're inching closer and closer to just let it burn.
So I anticipated this particular path, and that's why I mentioned I thought it was important to include that top 5% of men. Because when you start talking about reinstantiating order, generally now you're talking about people who have resources, influence, status, and can move certain organs of influence, right? So it's not again, and that's why I stayed away from it. If you notice, I didn't go to the whole, whoa, if you just do this and politically do that and you take over the churches, like somebody used to like to say, but it is true. It is true.
You're talking about your fellow countrymen. Yeah. Shout out to him. I blocked him from the channel because he started just trolling too tough, but I actually kind of miss him now.
Yeah.
But
but because he had. He's obviously an intelligent person, but he's a troll. And he trolls in a weird way. It's a different kind of. It's a different way. I don't know. It's a different kind of weird. But he made. I actually miss him. Oh, there you go. So now, if you're talking about the reinstantiation of order, it cannot be done by your regular rank and file people. I do understand that it can be done. As a matter of fact, I did a stream, and this is more of Africa now. I was talking about the last stream that I made on my channel, which you should be checking out, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and check out Ike Ogiamien. You should be spamming Bernard Riley's chat right now with my.
Do that. Yes, I got you. Moderators, go to Ike's channel, spam out this chat room with Ike's channel. Make sure y'all do that. I want to see his subs at least. I guess 50 new subs is a reasonable number. I mean, it probably could be more, but 50 new subs is a reasonable number. We should definitely shoot for. And speaking of hood conservative, real quick, another announcement. Me and him did a real good stream on the idea of super straight. I sent it right to Patreon, and a lot of my live shows will be going right to Patreon. So it would benefit you to become a Patreon, because after we go live and after the live show is over, a lot of times I will take it down and send it right over to Patreon. This one is going to stay up. But a lot of them will be going over to Patreon. So if you missed the show in the morning and you're one of the people that likes to listen to it after it's already uploaded, you like to listen to it later in the day or listen to it when you're at work or when you're working out or whatever, it would behoove you to go and join the Patreon so you can have all the live shows at your disposal. So but with that said, make sure you go subscribe to Ike. I see people dropping it in the chat. Go ahead and subscribe to Ike. Ash L in the building. He says, let them become cat ladies and share bunk beds. I'll be heading to South America and resting my head on our busty Latina passport plus US dollar equals freedom. Freedom.
So the two things. First of all, what the conservative said, about the people have the black elites have also sold out. Because we were talking about the elites needing to do certain things. And I said my stream last was about how you can bring Africa together, which is a different problem because Africa is tribalistic. Indigenous peoples are tribalistic because each tribe is a different race. They're very genetically distinct. There's like 250 languages in Nigeria, for example. Okay, these people don't necessarily see themselves as even the same. Okay, now we had a serious conversation, and that was like on a top level conversation of like involving moving massive levers. You know what I mean? That big power play. That was the last stream in my channel. So this could be another stream on this channel where we talk about how one does philosopher king type stuff, because that is the level of the task, right? You don't instantiate order by, you get what I'm saying, by talking about it, even though you understand there is a propaganda arm.
I just listened to a stream by a woman who's trying to fake it till she make it with a whole pro-black act, and they're talking they were basically talking to like I say, a bunch of regular normal common Joe black guys, and they were talking about, well, why haven't you done this or why haven't you done it? You're talking to regular Joes about something so big that, like you said, the philosopher king with a extreme vision and an exorbitant amount of resources would have to be the one pulling that off. Like the type of things that they're saying that they're telling Joe Smo, black guy that makes $65K driving a truck, that needs to do in order to benefit his people. I'm like, okay, if Robert Smith, a black man worth $5 billion, and a few other black billionaires and black men or women or whoever the hell worth hundreds of millions of dollars got together and decided, here, oh shit, right, thank you. No, I just had to hand my coffee cup to somebody. Yeah, they got together with a very aggressive strategic plan. I mean, just out of this world strategic. They could probably pull it off, and it isn't even a matter of whether or not black people will follow it. I mean, if it's pulled off right, black people would have no choice but to follow it. Like I talked about how and this is me spitballing, and I'm about to get off subject on a rant. But okay, I'll explain it like this. An example that I used before. I remember when Jay-Z was on Bill Maher, and they were talking about everything that's wrong with the black community. And Jay-Z was like, jobs, they need jobs. They need jobs. And Bill Maher chin checked him and said, well, it would be nice if it was a really rich, wealthy guy who were from those places that needed jobs to just create some jobs for them. Because the average common Joe Blow dude, he can't create no jobs. I mean, he can go work a job. He can work. He can go work a job. But if I were somebody creating the jobs, yeah, I mean, and granted, they're small business owners, that can create, a small amount of jobs. But as far as really moving the needle in society, yes, it's going to take a whole hell of a lot, because even though they say, like even in Hispanic Latino communities, that there's lots of small businesses. Yeah, there's a lot of lawn care services and guys putting up drywall and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if every job that they create could, if they tried to employ as many of their people that they could, they only could employ 8% of them. So they're not doing that much. They're doing something, and that's good. But it's not moving the needle in some drastic way. So if you want some drastic change, it's going to take something big from on high with a lot of vision. Yes, the smaller people on the ground floor, they have to do their part. That much is true. And there's still a lot of that not happening as well. But it will take something big from on high. I'm talking to the point of going back to Jay-Z creating those jobs that he was talking about. Yes, it would take the millionaires and billionaires, take over industries, employ black people, employ black men, put black so a higher percentage of black men have jobs, decent paying jobs, even if it's just working at a factory on assembly line. Some of those jobs amount to 60, 65K, 70K jobs, depending on how much overtime you work, and that's enough to take care of a family depending on where you live. And ultimately, if you do something like that for black men, and talk about black male leadership, well, black men who are at the top of the economic scale like that, yes, they're in a position to enact some leadership, to possibly employ the common folks to the point to where they're in a different position. And not saying that would solve every problem. It still will be a lot of problems still on the table. But at the end of the day, you're telling the guy who drives the fork truck. It's like I just listened to a panel where I heard black women berating fork truck drivers for not building a better. I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? It was just weird.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah,
I rambled.
Yeah, in that East Coast. No. It's a perfect segue, or shall we say tangent, because we're still talking about the same thing. And I keep just coming back, and there's a reason why I use this analogy of the male violence stuff, because I think that answers a lot of these questions would not even come up. So if there were no sheriffs in the East Coast, you would not be talking about regular dudes. Let's say it was, maybe MOT was a billionaire somewhere, and he had his old cohorts of billionaire type dudes, and they make moves, and they have these particular channels whereby they can get outside of the East Coast and back out. They have trade agreements with China and so on and so forth. You want to reinstate order? You go talk to MOT and his crew, and you say, what kind of deals can we cut? Can we bring on the people from this other place to establish that kind of thing? You would not even begin to think about talking to the regular people, right? Because it's right in your face type disorder. So, but however, this other kind of disorder is hard to see, so people keep saying all these other kinds of things. But I mentioned the last stream that I did because it is a stream, Philosopher King-like, where I'm talking to somebody about how certain things need to be done in Africa. Now, I will continue to talk about those kinds of things, but you're talking trade agreements, you're talking about people whom can actually move certain things, whom this particular individual I talked to was once such type of person. Plus also he has that kind of a vision, and is also a systems builder. You mentioned that it's a monumental task. It's also a multi-generational task. That kind of thing you have to put in your head. The Philosopher King type project is not what you're going to do 10 years from now. It's perhaps 3 generations type vision and all the steps in between, right? So, but this stream, we were going to talk about what the regular person finding themselves in the East Coast without a cop is going to do, right? And number one, the main thing is choice after acceptance. And he's either going to do the SysBIM or the MGTOW or whatever, right? But that he's going to need to, he can no longer, and this is the main foundational part, right? You can no longer outsource order. So you are going to need a little bit more order in yourself. This is the part that a lot of people don't like to hear, because that involves working on you. You cannot outsource the order into these social institutions, traditional institutions that kept the female chaos in check. You cannot outsource it anymore. You need to instantiate more order in yourself so that you can then, because now it's now free range. You can't trust one. You can only trust 1 out of every 10, right? So in order to discern which ones you can trust, in order to have the discipline to say no, in order to be able to be very selective in whom you deal with, and also in order to instantiate localized order, you need a lot more order in yourself. This is where that whole mastery of yourself comes in. In other words, every man now, unfortunately, has to step up their game a little bit. And some people may push back, but I'm like, hey, if you're in that East Coast town, and I told you, hey, you're going to learn how to use a gun, you'll learn how to use a gun real quick. You'll learn all the different kind of security modes real quick. You'll learn whom to associate with, and so on and so forth. In other words, since you cannot outsource order anymore, you'll quickly start getting that order within within yourself and localize it. Same thing needs to happen here. I don't know if you have any kind of comments on that, but people need to step up their order as a result. Men need to step up their order as a result.
Now, I like that you said that. See, when you said step up your game a little bit, I kind of side-eyed that one, probably because you used the word game. And that's really what women try to okay, women would try to smuggle some fuckery under the damn. Are we supposed to be not cussing? Women would try to smuggle some effery under the table and say, no, you just need to step up your game. In response to this world we live in, where female, emotional, psychological, societal crimes. And I'm using crimes in air quotes because they're running amok. The asylum, the gates have been opened, or the inmates are running the asylum out there. They running wild, and so they will say, yeah, well, in men's response to that, yeah, step your game up. Yeah, we're doing what we want to do, how we want to do it. We're out here running amok, and guess what? We're able to finance our own life now. So in order for us to get on board or act right, you got to step your game up. I can make my own $50K in this air-conditioned cubicle. So in order for me to get on board and act right for you, you got to go beyond the beyond. You got to make 100K. I make 100K. You got to make 200K. It just gets ridiculous to where it just turns into a situation where men are being gaslit into thinking, oh, I got to do better and better and better and better and beyond, more than what the economy would even allow for. Only so many men. And the thing about the top 10%, only 10% of men will be in it. It turns into a situation where we start doing some weird analysis, like women weren't doing as well as men, and then now the floodgates are open. Now women are getting closer to men, and now men need to step their game up and do significantly better, even significantly better than what would be normal. Like I always say before, when women,
and I'm saying step up your order. If you notice, I didn't necessarily say step up.
Exactly. You said order. That's what I was leaning towards. I like that you made that distinction. Step up your order. It's not about stepping up your game, your swag, your looks, your dress, or just making a ton of money just so now you can flip things around on a woman. It's about stepping up your order. Now, when you talk about that order and stepping up that order, let's talk about what that order looks like. Because I think I know where you're going, but I want you to explain it for the audience. What do you mean by stepping up that order? Because I feel like I definitely did that in my life, and that's why I talk about how I'm.
Why don't you tell us how you did that?
Well,
because I think that's why this is a good exchange or good series we're starting here, because we have different ways of talking. I tend to talk conceptually and blah blah blah, but you're gonna actually give examples and instantiations, and this time I did this thing and so on and so forth, blah blah blah, right? So why don't you go ahead and tell us how you were able to step up your order?
Well, for me, as far as the order, it came down to a few things. First things, I had to change who I would and would not accept. And this is a hard thing. It goes back to that Ramil thing, doing business behind bars. I'm sorry, we just using Ramil for an example that we made up. But when Ramil described how he operates and deals with women 5% of his time and all of that, and pump and dump, he feeds them with a long handle spoon, to use that term. It did turn into a situation where the people that you allow into your life, that had to change. Some of the things that you do will have to change, and that can be a tough one for some guys, because I always talk about, even though we're not supposed to be cussing on this stream, but I talk about how the modern world is turned into a riot. Well, I use I think this is Coach Greg Adams' term, a peace leave riot. Okay, there was a brief moment when I was a looter in the peace leave riot. Wow. Post marriage, I was so happy to be getting some new action. I was so happy to be getting some new peace leave. I was taking all comers. I was like, let's go, let's get it, chop chop, or get them in, bid them in, get them in, let's go. I was so So I was ultimately living like that. So yes, that had to change. That had to change. And
Yeah. So so you were doing that, and then you changed by not associating, no longer looting, getting some self-discipline in yourself, right?
yes, that's what it came down to, some self-discipline in myself. But I did now here's the catch. This is where it gets tricky. I don't knock the fact that I was out there looting in the riot, because what happened when I got to the point to where I had a lot of women coming before me, I was examining these women. When I got to the point where I calmed down, I settled down, and it just wasn't about just quick, just get the get the peace leave and get and that was it. When it got to the point where that just wasn't Mount Everest anymore, it was. But I still was living a life where, hey, I was a lot of women were in front of me. I was examining these women. I was talking to these women. I was almost like Dr. Phil and a lot of women, like, and I started picking the brain of a lot of different women. I started examining them, and then I came to the conclusion that, okay, there are some that are out here, like you say, that 1 out of 10, or that 5 out of a 5 out of 100, or whatever. By talking to a lot of women, I ultimately ended up meeting one of the 5 out of 100, if that was a analogy that you said. And the fact that I was already pulling back in disciplining myself, that I gradually got in a position to where when I met that 5 out of 100, I wasn't on the same thing where I'm just trying to get the peace leave and that's it. We viewed each other differently, because it's almost like we could both see that, okay, this nonsense, this this riot out here, I'm not feeling it. She wasn't feeling it. And I had, a certain amount of order and discipline in my life, to where she was the only one who could possibly get close to me. Other people couldn't get that close. They could be around, but they couldn't get that close, you see. So it's almost like, she met certain requirements, certain standards, certain this, certain that, in how she conducted herself. And it even showed me some things, the submissive way that she was. It sort of took me back, because I've seen submission in the sense, and this is another thing where a lot of game dudes, and I don't like to call them that, because it's turning into a derogatory jab at this point.
Yeah.
But a lot of game dudes, when they're talking about how they can get a woman to submit, they're basically talking about the same junk that I was doing when I was being a looter in a peace leave riot. It's easy to get a woman to submit if we just talking about some casual sex. She only got to be submissive for the 15 minutes she's on her back with her knees on her shoulder. Of course she's submissive. That's the most. It's a very submissive position when you get bent over. And so yeah, they're. So of course, yeah. So I feel like it seems as if when they're talking about getting women to submit or be in their submissive state, they're talking about casual sex. And when it comes to submitting during casual sex, yeah, American women got that covered. They all get an A+ in that. But that's not what we're talking about. It was the sex is over with. We went a week without having sex, and
I just think I should mention this. It's a quick mention, and then we'll kind of continue with this order thing, right? Women don't. In other words, women find it hard to submit. I'm talking about women in general, right? That's why there is a commandment, if you will, in the Bible, all these other kinds of traditional things, to submit. You get what I'm saying? It's not because it's easy for them. In other words, women don't fall in line the way men do. Now, they tend to fall in line differently in terms of socially or marketing-wise because of a different kind of thing. It's a different kind of thing that they do, okay? But they're not going to fall in line in the foxhole or fall in line in the hunting party. Women don't organize themselves in hierarchies quite easily. You get what I'm saying, right? So the whole point, and I just thought that it was important to mention that, because a lot of times we're like, oh, it should be natural. It's like, no, it's not easy for them. It's not what they want to do, right? That's why the warden is needed. That's why the sheriffs are needed, right? Just like some men don't want to be, not hit you over the head and take your money, or not do some crooked stuff, or not just go out there and get, right? And that's why when you take those systems of order out, you get what you get. You get this, you look at Rwanda, Uganda, whatever, right? Everywhere where you take away order, the male chaos spills over. It comes out the way it comes out. Where you take away order in this other side of the female side of the ledger, the chaos is going to come out that way as well. Okay, but speaking of order, you need to instantiate order in yourself, but also there are places where you can still find order, oasis, if you will, in that place where there is no sheriff anymore. Okay, now you may not want to participate in this kind of thing, but to the degree to which it's kind of part of your deal, I think you had a Hebrew Israelite here at some point, a few weeks ago, and he talked his thing. Now, I'm not an expert in that, but that is one example of a community, a small community, a subculture, and there are others as well, that whereby the women, if you will, whereby there is that kind of whole sheriff thing going on, and so on and so on and so on. But that's kind of like an external kind of order that you can find. But the internal order, having given your example, of you stopping rioting out there in the peace league riot, you stopped looting in the peace league riot, got some standards about you. You started getting some order within yourself. Therefore, you were able to recognize something in that person. They recognize something in you, so on and so forth. The way I would put it for this is, you need to start mastering your subjective consciousness. You need to start being someone that is not controlled by feelings or certain, let's just call it feelings for now. Okay?
Wait, hold your
feelings
thought on
and then
that
certain
about,
other stories.
hold your thought on that about mastering subjective consciousness. Crypto, before I lose these super chats, Crypto with Lionel. Shout out to you. And yes, Bitcoin just hit 60K, I think a couple days ago. It's been fluctuating around. It actually went down some, but still is over 60K. So it's definitely doing good on that end. Ike, you got some money stored up in Bitcoin somewhere, don't you? You got like about 10 million invested in Bitcoin, something like that, right? Don't answer.
Well, I remember when it was going. I think there was a stream, and it went down to the 40s, and people were like, "Oh, yeah." I don't get that thing where people are like, "Oh, it went down 10% yesterday." It's like, just stop, shut up. You're not adding anything to the conversation. You're obviously not invested in it. If you were, you would know. And you're a bitch ass nigga. Let's just put it that way. Like, it's like, I don't want to hear people complaining about stuff that is inherently risky, stuff that's inherently volatile. Volatility is the reason why you get the swing on the upside. Okay, crypto markets are volatile. You don't have to be involved in it. Shut up already. No one needs to hear your stupid comments about, oh, it went down 10%. Now it's like 60. What are they saying now? Okay, my temperament is such that I don't tolerate, I have no room for, especially from men, the fuckery, the nonsense. Everybody knows what this thing is. Volatility has upsides. Obviously, it has downsides too, you idiot. Okay, but yes, it is 60. It broke through that resistance right now, and the Robinhood account is looking very good right now.
Right on. Good stuff. Definitely probably do another crypto stream real soon. Sir Ty says game dudes are derogatory for the most part, so it's appropriate. He said when I said game dudes is turning into a derogatory slur towards them, calling them game dudes or game ninjas. Michael Graham says, love the discussion. Yeah, BR. I saw a few threads on Facebook talking about not submitting to blue collar men when most black men are blue collar. Yeah. A lot of that going on. But yeah, shout out to everybody who's contributed on the super chat and appreciate all of you good brothers. So go ahead, Ike. You got the floor. You got the mic. You're about to say something. I cut you off.
Yeah.
I know go ahead.
I'm about to say something about, we're continuing this whole kind of order thing. You need to step up your order because, again, and I think that we are keeping the East Coast without cops in our minds because it's a direct analogy, right? It's what's actually happening.
For
And
those
I
that
say
for
that
those
in
that just
that
made it
instance,
in, when Ike says the East Coast without cops, he set up an analogy about how would you operate as a man if you lived on the East Coast and for whatever reason all cops law and order was removed from the East Coast. So what would you do as a man now that you know that male crime, violence, whatever, none of it was being checked by any type of legal authority? That's what he mean by no cops on the East Coast. Just want to say that for those that just made it in, so you understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, carry on, Ike.
and the reason I say that is because on the female side of the ledger, there is social crime, psychological crime, emotional crime, and general chaos of the female sort that, or for which there is no longer any sheriff or asylum, right? So it is not an imagination. It is true. That is what is going on. It's not some kind of that's what's going on. So I say that, okay, in the East Coast, you're going to really quickly have some order. You're going to get those bars. You're going to pick a team. You're going to be Team Ramil with the bars, or you're going to be, you're going to go into a cave somewhere and hide from another new society away from the fuckery, if you will. Or, and I'm sorry I cussed with the BAN last time. Anyway, a little bit of cussing is fine.
Yeah, we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
The order that you need to instantiate is a little less external, obviously, because the external violence, the external chaos of men is different from the internal or emotional, social, psychological chaos that women tend to bring to bear. So you need more order in yourself, right? And I'm not going to dwell too much on this because it's a big kind of elaborate bucket of things that you need to do. I can't just tell you, right? Go master your subjective consciousness. I can't tell you though that I have a whole series on it as in why you should meditate and also how you should meditate. But basically, you're made up of three things. Your subjective experience is always about three things. It always manifests itself in three things. What am I saying by that? I'm saying your user interface, right? Right now, Bernard or Ike or Sir Tice or whomever is alive and experiencing right now experiences feelings in the body, images in the head, and talk in the head. Images in the head and talk in the head is your thoughts or dreams or whatever. That stuff, we know it. And then you have feelings in the body. They're internal sensations, which are sometimes emotions, or they may be instincts and drives, like you're hungry, or you just have, your stomach hurts, right? Internal sensations. And then we have external sensations on our senses. But feelings are in the body, image in the head, and talk in the head. These things need to be mastered in order for you not to be in a situation where the tail is wagging the dog, in order for you to be able to be in the zone, in order for you to be able to have freedom, right? You need to be out of your feelings and out of your head rather than being in your feelings and in your head. Since there is no warden anymore that is out there putting a lid on the female disorder, the female type of disorder, and it doesn't only come from females. I'm just saying it's a female class type of disorder. In other words, it's more of an emotional disorder, psychological disorder. And by disorder, I don't mean, I mean crime. I mean that kind of a crime. Social crime, psychological crime, emotional crime, that kind of crime, right? Then you need to be, since you're not outsourcing it anymore, you need to bring it back to yourself. Just like if there were no cops in the East Coast anymore, you now need to practice your weaponry, practice your security, have a system of people that can help you vet people that you communicate with, so on and so forth. So you need to bring order into your life, both internally and also in these kind of external ways that I talked about. But that part is, I think, the part that takes the most work, right? And I think it is also the part from which many other things flow. As you said, when you stop looting, many things changed, right? When you stop looting in the Peace League riot, many things changed. Now, how to do that? That's straight up, that's easy. Okay, yeah. Go to my channel. I have a whole series and a continuing set of things about literally how you master those three things I talked about: feelings in the body, image in the head, talk in the head. The chaos in your life, the reason you ever did anything, the reason whatever you ever experienced, whatever sadness, whatever pain, sorrow, chaos, whatever it is, it's going to manifest itself as some combination of feeling, image, and talk in some kind of a way. So now you already have three things, like three handles that you can kind of, okay, cool. I need to create an observer mode In other words, what I'm driving at is stoicism. You need to become more of a stoic man, and you have no choice anymore because the warden is gone, the sheriff is gone.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Information man in the building. He says, Bernard, peace to you and your guests in chat. Thank you very much for the super chat, information man. We got 290 people in the building, 183 on the likes. Let's hurry up right now. Quick, get those likes over 200. Let's go ahead and like that. And remember, fellas, doing something a little different. I'll be dropping more pre-recorded content, and the live shows will be live on YouTube when they're live. After they're over, they will be going to Patreon. I will leave some of them up. I will leave probably all the me and Ike series up, because I do want those to be cataloged into history, because there's some good stuff being said here. So I probably will definitely leave this one up. But remember, most of the live shows, if you miss them, they will be going to Patreon. So it would be a good idea for you to become a member on the Patreon. Put 5 on it, and then yeah, you'll be able to catch all the live shows after they are off the air. It was something that was said. I didn't write it down. I sitting there, looked at my notes, and I got a blank notepad under here, so I didn't write down my question. That it was a good question about I can't remember exactly what it was, but no, you definitely was saying some good stuff about
if we retrace, there was order, mastering subjective consciousness. There is the chaos that women bring to bear, and since you cannot outsource it anymore, you need to now insource it, if you will. Any of that written? Okay, well.
I was like, keep going.
I'm just trying to spark your order, because, as we mentioned, the marauders out there, if we go to our East Coast without cops, the marauders are not going to say, hey, come bring the cops back. Let me help you bring the cops back. If you if you think they should, you're crazy. I wouldn't. If I were out there marauding, I'm not going to be like, I want the cops back. So why do you think that, they're going to want the cops back? Of course not.
Okay, something crazy just happened, because I just went from 290 people to 175 people. Did we just get instantly bumped off the air? That's normally what happens when you're getting. Whoa! See, it just dropped down to 152, 142. That was. Oh, they saying we're being told that we're froze.
Oh,
that might be.
It wouldn't be just my internet, right?
No, I think that's both of us. I'm about to just type. Can you? Well, and you can answer the question. Can you hear us?
And
can you guys hear us?
If we're back and they're hearing us, then just refresh your YouTube, right? Or just refresh your browser YouTube. Then you might be able to see us the way we see each other now on StreamYard. But
okay, I just refreshed, and now I can see myself moving again on YouTube.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if that results in them seeing us.
And it says gone again.
Somebody says can hear now. Oh, somebody said back now. Okay, so give us some feedback. Somebody says can hear now. Somebody says awesome. Somebody says yeah, back now. Give us something to work with. Give us something. Somebody said you're good now, Bernard. Okay, so just refreshing YouTube somehow fixes that. Back on F5 for refresh. We back? Okay, so I think we back. That was weird. That was weird. Okay. Wow. So, okay, let's we're getting close to wrapping it up, because we always end up indirectly segueing into the next conversation that we're going to have. Now, I think well, okay, real quick, let's close it out like this. We're going to tease the next conversation, because you talked about that the philosopher king concept of what it would take in to actually get control of things, because when you're talking about that, you're basically, that normally comes on high from governments. Governments have to get really ambitious, aggressive, in damn near a tyrannical way sometimes in order to rein things in.
But the thing that you to remember when you say governments is, number one, the obvious thing, governments are people, right? But then the number two obvious thing is there are always people behind governments, right? There's the strings. And then number three, not so obvious thing is governments are not unitary, where it's like it's not this big. They're not even like corporations, where it's like, oh, the corporation, the Google CEO says this, and then things kind of flow. Governments are terribly inefficient, terribly disorganized, and so on and so forth. So the reason I say these three things is that, yes, it's governments, that's the outward face, but really the things that move, especially in the social sphere, move things are individuals with power, right? That's really what's doing it. Now, teasing that conversation, the first, I think it would also be a good kind of couple conversation to the conversation we had on my channel where we were talking about individual versus collective. The first thing you need to start looking now is you got to step out from the individual box and look at the collective box if you want to fix it from that philosopher king type aspect. Meaning we have to understand what the parameters are. We have to care about these parameters. We have to kind of see why it is actually important, because not just the philosopher king is needed, but he's going to need some people, let's say mid-level, and then the rest at the bottom will just kind of flow with the waters, if you will, or with the path. But definitely we're looking at the collective landscape. We're looking at a long-term kind of a project, and we're looking at something that involves. It's almost like it has to come back to this kind of it's complicated. We're talking about mythology here. It's kind of what I'm saying. It's like a tribal mythology where you need to kind. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. When you said mythology, that threw me off. So you got to break that one down.
So in order to get people, well, let me just put it this way. What is the nature of the sheriff on the female side or on the social side of the ledger? What is the nature of religions, traditions, and these rituals? What is the nature of it? Right? There are these stories.
I didn't know where you were going at first. I got it.
Yeah. So you cannot escape that. If you're going to do things in the land of, I call it Storyville, right? Another way to call it is Consciousnessville, which is Spiritville, because spirit and consciousness are the same word. They're the same words. People just get weird because spirit got hijacked by woo-woo people. So now spirit means some weird thing, spiritual.
But it sounds like you're saying you have to be able to sell them a dream as well.
How else are you going to do it? And that's the thing. If you read Plato's Republic, the philosopher king understood that you're going to need to. This is the kind of a book where Plato is talking about, well, what are the right kinds of gods to have, right? This is the kind of level conversation that you'll be having, where you're putting yourself above even the god and say, hey, I think this is the right kind of god to give them. And then it's called the noble lie concept, whereby, in other words, you need to realize at this level that human beings need to live via a story, which is not something that you could call kind of a truth in a capital T word, the same way that physics talks about truth. It's a different thing. It's a consciousness story. It's a spiritual thing. And by spiritual, I don't mean woo, okay? And it is a mythological thing. It is that thing that binds tribes together other than the genetic, okay? The genetic thing will bind you together, but also there's always a component of a story. We follow this great leader because he came down from the volcanoes in the beginning of time and he brought back the rock of whatever. Every tribe has that story, that mythology. Why do you think they have it, right? Even us have our mythology of the state of nature out of which we get life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. Where the hell did that stuff come from? Trust me, it's not rational, okay?
Wow.
It's a story.
Now, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because right when you start talking about mythology, and sounds like you were going over to fairy tale land, and I was like,
No.
so you're basically saying you got to sell them a dream, and then you was like, how's you going to do it? And I was sitting there thinking like, oh, I live in a country where, and I parroted it. I parroted earlier in the show. I mentioned life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and freedom, and I echoed all of those sentiments and didn't even realize that's
a story.
Yeah, that's a story. It's a dream that was sold to get people to embrace even the concept of this American
working together,
dream, buy a house, get a family, fall in love, raise.
Here's a flag. Here's a symbol. Here's some rituals. You put your hand over your chest.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I didn't even realize I've been sold that dream too. Yeah. Damn. Yeah.
There's no shade in it. It's just that some people can get to the level, and it's not some kind of super high level, where we can talk like this, where we can say, okay, there is a side of me, the software side, if you will, that needs these inputs. Okay, it just is what it is, right? You need those inputs in the software, and you can't be like, oh, but it's not perfectly true. Then at some point, you've lost your way when you start talking about truth in this side of the ledger. Okay, but the point is, how do you bring the order back to this place where there's no sheriff anymore? You need to bring it back with a story along with it. Okay, and I mentioned, and I think we're teasing the next stream, right? We're teasing the next stream. First of all, I say you got to think in terms of the collective. Secondly, I'm talking about the realm of mythology, because it is the realm by which social chaos, psychological chaos, and emotional chaos is controlled. You can't put a chain around it, Bernard, as you know, right? You can't put. That's why to talk about physical truth is kind of like, well, what are you talking about, right? This has nothing to do with logic or rationality. Okay, even no matter how rational the story is, for example, the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness story is a very rational story, but still it's not true. It's something based on a choice, and it's something based on emotions. What I mean is this: one of the base emotions we have is the emotions not to want to die. So we say, hey, what can we all agree on? Can we all agree on that we don't want to die? Right? But that's not some kind of a logical, thing where you're like, well, the good as such, or the commandments of God, or the blah, 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 or some kind of a pseudo-geometric kind of proof in the way in which some philosophies go. This is a low ground, a low bar of we don't want to die. Can we all agree on that? Okay, cool. I won't kill you if you don't kill me. Okay, cool. That's kind of the thing. And then we have to also then dress it with a nice little story around it and beautiful, again, rituals, flags, anthems, and so on and so forth. But anyways, this is the realm where we're going to have to go into in order to bring order back into the chaos that is in psychological, emotional, and social space.
Good stuff. As far as the topic in this stream, all right, we talked about, and I'm mad that we lost at this point 33% of the audience, but the topic in this stream, things have changed. The inmates running the asylum. The inmates aren't going to go to anyone and say, hey, you need to do A, B, and C to lock us back up again. They're not going to do that. And you talked about what men need to do going forward. Just the cliff notes of that, because sometimes I want to start doing this in my streams. I know it will work with you, recapping everything, because I hate when through the 2 hours of a live stream the core points can easily get lost. So let's try to hit what was the main points as far as what men need to do, provided and given the environment, the one or three, the 3 or 4 bullet points that you more or less laid out. Let's recap, re-hit those best you possibly can, because you did say some good information that touched a lot of the points that we talk about and debate about in this space.
100%. The first thing is acceptance, as I mentioned, which is the acceptance of the fact that on the female side of the ledger, on the social, emotional, psychological chaos side of the ledger, there's chaos everywhere. We get the violence one, the male chaos. We have to lock that up. we also need to lock up other kinds of chaos. However, the sheriff has been losing all its power, and you need to completely understand that this is the case on the social, psychological, emotional side. And if you accept that, then there are many things that is going to follow, right? You're going to brace up yourself in a certain kind of way. Number one, that's acceptance. Number two is choice, right? That you have the choice now to either move out of this place where the sheriff is no longer there, or you decide that you're going to handle it, you're going to stay and you're going to handle it in a certain way, put those bars and so on and so forth. Okay, right? So choice is key here. Choice is the number two part. And that when anyone is telling you, hey, why do you want to go over to Ohio? It's not a perfect society. You're like, well, but it's better. At least I'm not going to get killed out in the street. In Ohio, they actually have a cop that I can call. He takes 20 minutes to arrive, but over here, we don't have any cops. That kind of a thing, right? So people saying, oh, well, feminism is all over the world. It's like, yes, but better in some places than others, right? In other words, places that still have some of those trappings of the sheriff, whom is, again, of a mythological, sociological, psychological story type quality to it. That's how you keep psychology in check, is with stories. But anyways, then the third thing that we mentioned is that you need to bring in order to yourself. And also you can find order in certain oases, if you will. But you need to master your subjective consciousness and become more of an orderly man, because you're not in that situation anymore where you're outsourcing order. The order of the sheriff or the warden of the asylum, right? It's not there anymore, so stop complaining, because by necessity, now you need to insource that order, okay? So I would say those are the three main things. Number one, acceptance of the landscape in which we described. And then number two, choice. That it is, you can't go cis-bim, can't go MGTOW, you can't go pump and whatever. Don't listen to anyone telling you that you shouldn't go somewhere where, where the cops are still there. They're crazy. Okay, it's just stupid. Like, if you think about it from this analogy of, the cops leaving the East Coast, no one can tell you what the hell you should be doing, right? You're like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna go do it, or because it's evolutionarily true that when you start running out of the kind of fruit that you need to survive over here, you go over on that other side. Granted, it's a different kind of land. You're not used to it. You're gonna have difficulties, but you're a man. You deal with the world as it is, not as it should be. Which goes to the third point of order and stoicism. That means you deal with the world as it is, not how it should be. So those are the three main points.
Wow. Love how you said that. Love how you put that together. I do believe that some people, in their own way, they try to skip right to the third one, the order, or the three things that you name. Some people will say acceptance and then order, but then they'll shoot down everything you said in the middle.
Yeah, the pragmatic. Choice. How do I move right now? Yeah, it's like, how do I move right now though? It's like, do I need bars? Do I run away? It's like, you can't. Yeah, people gotta move right now.
Yeah. So I like those 3 points, and those 3 points this is where a lot of the debates in this space get stupid. It just gets stupid because some people they will deal with the acceptance, poo-poo everything in the middle as far as the choices that people make dealing with this environment, and that's how some people end up criticizing tricking. Some people end up criticizing dealing with women from different cultures. Some people end up criticizing this or that, and then some people end up criticizing games sometimes, where game as presented by some people is okay in some situations. So it turns into a thing. But I like how you use that middle factor of choice. That's very important. Men having choice to do what is suitable for you. It may be suitable for one guy to say, hey, I could stay right here in this situation, in this environment. It's a riot out there. It's a peace leave riot out there. I have my bars up. There's no sheriff in town. I have my bars up. I let people inside my bars. When I'm done with that individual is released out into the world to do what they want to do. My bars are up. That's how some people may deal with it. Some people may feel like they have the the wit or ability to maneuver and function out there in this cesspool. Some people don't. Some people don't got the temperament or the stomach for this stuff, for what's going on out here. So they may operate a different way, rather it's going overseas, rather it's only dealing with a very small percentage of women. With whatever they do, their choice for what's suitable for them is what they're going to do. And so and then when we get to that third one of ordering yourself, that's when it comes down to you get in control over yourself, your stoicism and understanding. After you've understood it, you've accepted it, you've made your choices, and now you're moving forward in control of yourself in your decisions going forward. So yeah, I like it. I definitely like what you laid out there. Definitely like that. And we're going to talk about that philosopher king stuff. And if I understand the next conversation we're going to talk about in the unlikely event that somebody in this American context is going to some way, somehow, not just on their individual, me personally way, but how in a large scale collective way somebody could take back the ship or get back in charge or stop the inmates from running the asylum. How in a large collective way, how that could be done. We're going to talk about that. And that's a tall order, I must say. That's a tall glass, a tall order to try to fill.
Glad you're mentioning it. That's the first thing you got to admit and say about that it's a tall order. There's a lot of room for error and freedom. There's a lot of room to bullshit as well. There's a lot of room for people to just come in and be like, oh, we just have to be together. Or there's a lot of room for kumbaya nonsense. And also there's a lot of room for people to just disagree with everything you say. Like, oh, no, how about, a lot of what about that could come about in that kind of a conversation. But if we go in there knowing that this is what we're trying to do, then that's fine. That we're not over here to tell you something that is micro. Whenever you go macro, yes, a lot of room for error, room for BS, which we're not going to do. I'm not in for the BS. But you got to understand that people can always also say no all over the place because it's too long, too far, too large. It doesn't give me and my particular type of person power and control over the outcomes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I think I'm going to try to make like an outline of these discussions, the points that were made in these discussions. So it could be chronicled and referenced back to like, I like what we're talking about here. This is some solution-based things being said here. So I like it. And I like to break down solutions at the micro level, at the macro level. What can you do right now, given the environment? What would large scale solve the problem for collectively, if you're worried about the future of your children and grandchildren and the society that they're going to live in? But right now, what do you do? Is like, those are the type of, we're talking about all the varying social dynamics between men and women, or in this Black American case, Black men and Black women. These are the type of conversations I like to have, and it's not just simple base level. How do I get the peace leave? Like that's I hate when it always goes back to that. And keep in mind, I'm a guy. I like some locker room talk. I like to talk about I like to talk about the peace leave and
one of these streams we could actually just dedicate to like actual practical tactics, techniques, not just about getting the peace leave, but how to move within the relationship. Because you can always get better at whatever it is you're doing, whether it's talking dirty in the bedroom or whatever it may be. There are actual practical things that you could definitely do. And as you said, we are men, right? The whole issue I have with it is that in the real world of men, which is, let's go hunt, let's go in a foxhole, let's build a business. That stuff is such a ancillary diversion. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's like you can't just be so focused about that. So you need to be a master of everything, but that's like almost like by the way, I master that too. It can't be like right in front of you, like, this is what I'm about, this is what I do. It's like, nigga, that was expected.
I don't know why. I like when Ike say nigga. It remind me of that little comedy sketch that when you were you know the clip. I forgot the name of the comedian when he
Andrew Schultz, yeah.
Yeah, when he's pointed out you're a black albino. So are you are you allowed to say the N-word or whatever? that was funny. That was very funny. Shout out to Andrew Schultz. But y'all can see some of my Patreon scrolling down there, and I do want to shout out my newest Patreon, whose name I cannot find right now. I forgot to do it. I wanted to put your name in lights for coming on over to the Patreon end, and now I can't find you, but I will have you scrolling across the bottom down there whenever I find you. Your name is Keith T. Your last name starts with a T. First name is Keith. I can't remember, but I don't even want to give you a full government name. So it's Keith T. That's what we'll call you for now. But I will get your name in lights over there. Appreciate you becoming a $10 Patreon. And we're going to wrap this bad boy up. We're going to wrap this bad boy on up. We will be back either Saturday or Sunday next week to recap the conversation on how in the event that on a macro level, in a collective level, if black people always like to say, if things were to be changed or steered in the right direction in terms of black people in regarding to all the varying social dynamics and social contract between black men and black women, or men and women in general in America, how would that go about changing? But I like to focus on black people, but we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna focus on that. We're gonna be doing these series every weekend. Make sure that you come here and strap on in. And I ask one favor of you guys. Well, the first thing I ask of you is make sure you go subscribe to Ike if you're not subscribed to Ike already. Make sure you definitely do that. It's a wealth of knowledge over there. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not subscribed to Ike. And the thing that I'm dropping a link to right now is the last pre-recorded video that I dropped where I broke down the how Prince Hakeem got Bill Cosby in that movie, in a pro female empowerment movie. Somebody got Bill Cosby'd and by a woman, and nobody even batted an eye in the whole film. So I did a conversation breaking that down. Yes, sorry, spoiler alert. But so yeah, make sure you go click on that and check out that video. Give it a like button. It's almost over 1,000 views. Get over 1,000. Pre-records are hit or miss. Some of my biggest views are from my pre-recorded videos, but sometimes pre-recorded videos will flop and won't even hit 1,000. But let's get this one over 1,000. Our bare minimum want to see 1,000. Me and my editor, we work hard on this stuff. So go over there and give it a like, give it a view if you haven't done that already. Check that out. And without further ado, yes, the movie was trash. The movie was absolutely trash for a number of reasons. I may do a long format review on it. I might go get Game Changer, see if Game Changer want to do a long review of that movie with me. We might do that. But without further ado, that's not the right word. That's what you said at the beginning of the show. I got to work on my closing. We getting the hell out of here. That's how I'm going to close it, people. Thanks, Ike, once again. Love these talks with you every time. I feel like I learn something new every time I speak with you, man. So definitely make sure you guys go subscribe to Ike, and we are out of here. Peace.